Yes, welcome to the True Communicator. You know, in America is one of the most religious country in the world at the present moment. But as for me, born and raised Catholic, used to go to Baptist church. But I can tell you that when you come on to Christianity and morals and ethics and decency and truth, I can tell you that I'm not the judge of men, but why these people lacking all of these things. But whether or not you want to believe it in America, America was not founded by nice people. You understand? And they tend to always want to hide their history from others. They treated Donald Trump at this moment as if he's Jesus, or even saw a member of Congress that she said that even Jesus was arrested and Nelson Mandela and all those people. I just laugh because it's either these people are demented or something. Because I cannot deny my white grandmother. So I have European blood inside of me. And I'm African. But I can tell you that I can see what is happening in the world today. So I want you to listen to this man. And everything that he says about America is factual. But you're not going to see this in the mainstream media. Because you have to understand that in America and in this world that we're living in right now, lies are truth and truth are lies. That's how it is. So everything is backwards. So that's why you would not see a video like this circulating in the media, although it's over 2 years old. And I deliberately kept it this long because it was right after the election in 2020. So I want you to listen to this. It's just asking people just to open their hearts, their mind, and their soul. But right now, at this moment, it's like, it seems like the path that America is on, whether or not people want to believe it, it seems like it's only the courts. So sometimes things happen for our wise purpose. Is only the court can really save it from the madness that's going on right now. Especially with our children, the schools. Although you can't, they have tried it before, try to ban books. If you're not proud of your history, that means you should not, your ancestors should not have done it. If you're ashamed of it, you did not do it. So why are you ashamed of it? So I want you to listen to this, American. You watch, you listen, you decide.
This is a reality check. It made for great TV and clickbait, but there was never going to be a fascist takeover of America's cities. There was an attempted coup, but it was mainly just embarrassing. It would take somebody actually clever to orchestrate something like what Adolf did. Trump and his sycophants can't even keep their stories straight for an hour. His campaign's always been a clown car wreck. And if they weren't stealing so much of our money and wreaking so much chaos, it would be really funny. But we know about all that. The big story here is why so many people would gobble up any excuse to throw themselves behind so obvious a fake macho man. But that's what 70 million people did. Because white America is having an identity crisis. And as it turns out, when your identity is based on fiction, you will defend that fiction as if your life depended on it. A nation with a false history, told that they're the greatest people on earth, feeling humiliated by reality, are going to follow anybody, no matter how ridiculous, if they're promised revenge. And in the end, they're going to destroy themselves in the process, whether their hero is Mussolini, or that pharaoh who chased Moses, or a reality show host. But to let the Trumpites off the hook a little bit, Our public square is now privately owned, for sale to the highest bidders, which is the inevitable result of the business model of our nation having always been at cross purposes with the business of being human. Marketing campaigns work, and Make America Great Again took those who fell for it, mostly by regional misfortune, back to that mythic American origin story of righteous might and moral authority. In reality, the America they've been trying to dial us back to was 1692 Salem, when the colonies were just the little playthings of their English lords, and the colonists' demented version of Christianity gave them night terrors about everything outside the settlement walls. When First Nation natives and Africans weren't human, when women were property, when justice meant burning witches, and science was seeing if they float first. That is how stupefying it is to imagine that the AT&T owned CNN, which makes $200 billion a year in corporate advertising, and Joe Iraq oil war Biden belong in the same sentence as socialism. Socialism is a word that's been turned into a Pavlovian response trigger to make people quiver in fear about the quality of life in Japan, the UK, Israel, Canada. Socialism is simply the belief that a society should regulate its institutions rather than allow private tyrannies to oppress the peasant class. The same fundamental principle as a democracy or a republic. All of these words refer to a government run by the people. None of them applies to CNN, and barely any of them apply to this country. Let's make this even simpler. Either kings and feudal lords rule the people, or the other way around. Those are our two choices, and it doesn't matter what we call it. What matters is that we face the truth. And what's happening right now is our karma for not dealing with our cultural monstrosity sooner. White America is having a psychotic break that has been a long time coming. The majority of white people voted for a reality show host to save them. That says it all. Democracy was saved by the majority of black women and men and people of color and a minority of whites. White people have like one more shot to redeem themselves before the natural demographic shifts in the country just do it for us. We have to get our origin story straight and face our childhood trauma. And until we do, we're going to have a collective mental health crisis. So one more time for the people in the back. We are a nation founded by extremists who lied and killed and stole this land, who refused to outlaw slavery as part of our Declaration for Independence, and whose self-rule was only for white aristocrats who owned land and believed that they had a God-given right to it and nobody else did. Now, regardless of the myths, that is not what Jesus believed. After the Civil War over slavery, white America enabled the Confederacy to rise to power again, rather than uplifting and embracing the black women and men who helped build their empire. In the 1930s, white America didn't want to let in the Jews fleeing the Holocaust. National hero Charles Lindbergh wanted America to form a neutrality pact with Hitler. The airwaves were filled with Nazi sympathizers. In the 60s, whites didn't want to sit in the same part of the bus, or the same classrooms, or even restaurants as the descendants of slaves. White people were appalled at the protests threatening the good order of our caste system. Martin Luther King diagnosed the illness of the white moderate, who paternalistically believes that he can set the timetable for another man's freedom, who praises incremental change and compromise and unity with white nationalists. Dr. King protested, saying the time is always ripe to do right. Now is the time to make real the promise of democracy. Those were his words, and the country killed him, and Jack and Bobby Kennedy, and Malcolm X, and countless others, for daring to challenge our extremism, which continued. White America elected Nixon, and then Reagan, and then Clinton, who militarized police forces and incarcerated black and brown people and poor people at rates never seen in the history of the world. In the 2000s, white supremacy found a new way to shock and awe. They invaded a country that was no threat to us, with the rallying cry, "Support the troops," as if it was the troops' idea. They killed 100,000 people for empire building, just like they've always done. And most of America gave it a pass because it was an Arab nation and it seemed far away, and the way we like our media is for entertainment purposes only. And the bipartisan war criminals and bank fraudsters and oil spillers and plunderers of the world, they hugged and took selfies in the name of what Dr. King called the white moderates' devotion to their sense of order over justice. But the majority of whites were so triggered by a black president and the dawning reality that the feudal lords really don't care about the peasant class, they elected Trump, an infamous racist rich kid grifter, in the hopes that he might protect them. This guy was famous for stiffing people who worked for him. And his celebrity crime family brings our fragile order into chaos, and some people are surprised. There's a virus killing 2,000 people a day. And we know how to stop it, but we're not, because we're still arguing with reality. So those who think there was ever a normal that we should go back to are in the deep end of our collective identity crisis. We want to go back to normal as just the PC way of saying, make America great again. President Biden speaks with a civility and a warmth that is a great relief. He also voted for and promoted that oil war as chair of the Foreign Relations Committee in Congress and on the talk show circuit. One of the first people that he's delegated to handle our life-threatening climate crisis is a top recipient of fossil fuel money, a former consultant to the notorious cancer and birth defect-causing DuPont company. This guy has such a horrific environmental record. The actual Aaron Brockovich just penned an editorial in The Guardian entitled, "Dear Joe Biden, are you kidding me?" And of course he's not kidding. And of course all Biden's cabinet picks are being gushed over by the corporate media, which Republicans are rightfully disgusted by. But their solution to aristocracy is monarchy, because they're even more attached to 17th century European caste systems than the left. But the truth is, all these guys are eating from the same trough. Big banks, insurance, big oil, big auto, pharmaceuticals. That club doesn't fight to stop the abuses of their own membership. Almost every president we've ever had wanted one thing more than anything else: to get into that club and stay in it. And that club doesn't include you and me. And that's why income, education, and healthcare inequality are at unsustainable levels. It's why our criminal justice system is still a human rights catastrophe, and why we've barely begun dealing with the climate crisis, and our politics are a national joke. We do not need any more of the right or the left sides of the white aristocracy to unite. We need to face our childhood trauma and grow up. Every lawyer who is engaged in this frivolous, vexatious litigation to suppress the votes of black and brown people should be disbarred. This disinformation campaign that's killing 2,000 Americans a day, it shouldn't be censored on social media. It should be prosecuted. Snake oil senators stealing our tax dollars for their paymasters during a global emergency should be prosecuted because stealing is wrong. The rule of law demands no pardons for these delinquents that briefly occupied our White House. We can have mercy, but this is a reality check. The words far left are being used to describe U.S. domestic policy 80 years ago, and services every developed nation delivers now. We have to upgrade our institutions that are 200 years out of date if we hope to survive the century. Now, the Trumpites, they love to pretend they're protecting the roots of Western society, but even a tree knows that its purpose is to keep growing. I mean, these people, they're the barbarian hordes that burned Rome to the ground. The tiki torch wavers, they had a chant. They said, "You will not replace us." Well, that's exactly what we're going to do. We can heal, but only if we admit we started this whole thing broken. White America, it's time to join the 21st century. Suck it up and put a mask on. And before you start thinking we're going to split off into a blue country and a red one, no, we're not greenlighting more pollution or another arms race or founding another new white terrorist nation. Dr. King said either we go up together or we go down together. This culture of every man for himself and winner take all, that's got to go the way of the savages that we evolved from. You remember, we used to call them the Pilgrims. The path forward has been laid out for thousands of years. Your favorite book, it says it like this: you can't make money and power your master and work toward the highest good at the same time. You got to pick one. Well, this time it's now or never. That's the challenge of our generation. And we're up for it. We were made for this. But it's going to take all our strength. In the days to come, we have to demonstrate the human values that belong to an advanced society.
especially
as
with
there's a war in
the
ourselves,
white
there will be
evangelists.
war in the
These
world.
people that claim that
So
they're
may you be in a
Christians,
state of peace
but
and
they're not
prayer.
Christ-like.
May you know
Because
who
I
you
can tell
are.
you that you cannot be a racist and be Christ-like. These people just go to church because they have money, they have clothes, and they read the Bible, but they don't understand anything about Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ don't look like any of these people. All of these people. Jesus look like this man that you're looking at right here, because that is what the Bible stated. Even the Catholic Church, the Pope, know that Jesus is a black man. Talk about the black Madonna, but they don't, make it reach to America because they don't want, because America is a white man's country, and it's built off, as as the presenter says, it's built off lies, and everything in America is just lies and evil, and these people just cannot come to terms with the things that they have done, especially to the black race. Black people are the most hated people in the world. Everybody hates black people, but yet still the black race is the only race that have the dominant genes. So what the black race have been experiencing for the past 400 years is just sheer terrorism. And all he's saying right here is just that to come together as one people. Because whether or not we want to believe in it, everyone on this earth will die. And those who claim that they are Christian, most of them are going to hell because of the things that they have in their hearts. You cannot only love people who look like you, because God made all of us. If you believe in God, you cannot believe in God and be a racist. You cannot believe in God and hate. You can hate the things. You can hate the things in God hates, because it's an abomination to God. But the way that things are going, the solution to the problem right now, it's not both political party. They are not going to solve it because both of them are the same. As he has stated, they're eating out of the same trough. They have been lying to the people and they're still lying, even to this day. Right now, the world is venturing into a new path of terrorism. This kind of terrorism is mental terrorism. Yes, a minority, as usual, oppressing the majority. There's no freedom of speech. Freedom of speech is what they approve. And if you speak the truth, you can get cancelled. Yes, they call it the cancel culture. You cancel, which lead to economic terrorism. So, where is this going? Let's see if the hearts of men will change, if the liars can change, if there's any way to change the liars. Because one thing with a liar that the liar is always good at is telling lies. You can't always change the behavior of a liar, but you can change how you feel and react to them. Liars are people with serious mental health condition where a person feels an uncontrollable urge to lie about everything. Experts classify liars as an impulse control disorder. It's often untreatable. So these people are sick people. It's often untreatable with medication, therapy, or both. People with this condition might try unsuccessfully not to act on the notion, and many can't feel remorse or guilt for lying because it is genetics next to breathing. There are no known cures for lying, but to expose and shame the liars, to diminish them in the eyes of decent, honest, and truthful people. Liars can get professional help. A mental health professional might be required to deal effectively with deep-seated issues and any underlying mental disorders. As a loved one, you may also benefit from psychotherapy or a specialized family program. So that is what's killing the world at this moment. Liars. Liars, liars, liars. And so far, the only group of people on this earth, whether or not we want to believe it, that are really standing up for truth are the people on the continent of Africa. You can say what you want to say about them. I haven't been to Africa, I've never visited Africa, but I've been seeing Africa under tremendous attack from Barack Obama was president until now. And that's the reason why, that's one of the reasons why we get a Donald Trump. Because of that. That's the reason why black people voted for the Republicans. And you know, if the Republicans, not saying that they're better or they're worse, but if the Republicans want to control the direction of the country, it's only two things that they can do. One, just raise the minimum wage for the people. Both political party, you know, as you have two people in the Democratic Party, Sinema and Manchin, they did not want to raise the minimum wage for the people. They had both chambers in the House and the President. They haven't done that. But if the Republicans want to take over the levers of government in this country, that's the only way. And if they want the black people, they know what the black people are the only people. Black people are the only people on this earth that is not being submissive to the dark forces. Both sides have the dark forces with them. And we have seen it after the midterm election. So they're just pretending as if they love the people. Yeah. Thanks for listening to the True Communicator. I hope you learned something. Like the video, share it, comment, and subscribe to the channel so we'll grow. Because we are all about just telling the truth. Because that's why we're the True Communicator. There's gonna be a time where our voice, just like the way that the Republicans are banning books, our voice will be silenced because they're gonna control everything. Because that's where it's heading. How it's gonna stop? Who's gonna stop this train? Let's see if God is going to send us a Moses who can inspire and change the mind of the world to let the people them know that night is night and day is day and up is up and down is down and a circle is a circle and a square is a square and one is one and two is two, and not to confuse the people. Have yourself a beautiful day.